coming up on BCN today. Alberta's finance minister in Lethbridge to discuss how the new budget will impact our city. And an anti-crime rally held in Lethbridge to fight back against the growing crime problem in southern Alberta. Plus, federal Green Party leader Elizabeth May be moving on. Our parliamentary reporter, Ray Fillion, has the details.
Your Canada. Your southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. We gained an extra hour of sleep this weekend as we went back to standard time at 2 a.m. on Sunday, but some experts say all the changes in time can be dangerous. In fact, the Alberta Motor Association says that with dusk coming an hour earlier, commuters are more likely to be on the road while deer and other wild animals are most active. They're reporting that November is the highest risk month for wildlife collisions, which represents half of the crashes on Alberta's rural highways. The AMA says the average claim is around $8,000, which is among the most expensive of all claims. Costs to the province, both directly and indirectly, average $280 million per year. Lethbridge got a visit from the province's finance minister. Fresh after releasing the new Alberta budget, Travis Taves was in town on Friday. The province has been under fire by many in the public sector union since it will be asking arbitrators to impose an average 2% wage cut in 30 upcoming public sector wage cases. Workers affected include nurses, teachers, social workers, and sheriffs. There are 180,000 public sector workers in Alberta.
Our public sector remuneration is over half of our budget expenditure. And based on the expert panel advice that we received from the McKinnon report, we found that our public sector remuneration and our public sector compensation is higher than that of other provinces. So we will be looking to, over time, adjust that. There will also be an overall reduction in our public sector as we find efficiencies to deliver government services more efficiently and effectively. And so there will be an overall reduction of 7.7% in the public service.
Small business is something I'm passionate about, having come from that background. It's something that I advocate for, and it's the lifeblood of our economy. So making sure that they are part of the solution and going forward is really key. So we've addressed a number of those issues. As we get the economy rolling, they will be the first ones to really feel the uptick of that. And everything in line on that economy is connected.
This is a message of restraint. It's laying out the plan for the government going forward. The reductions that we're seeing and the revenue losses that we are seeing at a municipal level, we think we can absorb. But what we want to do is work with the government and understand what the implications are of some of the formula changes and how those might affect us going forward. This year was a difficult year for the construction industry in Lethbridge. Housing starts are down. We saw people being laid off at the beginning of the construction season. We had a wonderful year in terms of project completions, but what we need is to keep the economy rolling. And we were disturbed to see people in the construction industry being laid off at the beginning of the construction season.
An anti-crime rally was held yesterday in Lethbridge along Mayor McGrath Drive as the leader of the group Connecting Our Community Lethbridge continues her efforts to fight back against the growing crime problem in southern Alberta.
We've seen a dramatic increase in property crime and drug-related crime. That's, attempted break and enters, going through people's backyards. We started at Connecting Our Community as a result of a woman who was violently sexually assaulted in our neighborhood. We stood up because we believe that our community deserves better, that our neighborhood deserves better. The City of Lethbridge needs to continue to consider hiring more police officers. We know that a motion for 8 has recently been passed and going through the police commission. However, we know that 8 officers will make somewhat of an impact, but we do need more. We're here today to raise awareness, we're here today for solutions, and we're here today to come together as a community to say enough is enough.
Christensen says the group will continue to hold community meetings every second Monday at Lethbridge Tabernacle Church. The provincial government has announced 25 school projects, including 15 brand new schools to be built in Alberta. Education Minister Adriana Lagrange says they are investing a total of $1.8 billion in school spaces over the next 4 years.
Our Budget 2019 capital plan supports 15 new schools, including brand new high schools in Calgary, Edmonton, Leduc, Black Falls, and Langdon. We are also replacing 6 existing schools and modernizing or expanding another 4 schools. In total, we are supporting 25 new projects in this budget. Work will also continue on all school projects currently underway, with this budget providing $1.4 billion over 4 years to support previously approved projects. That is also true for playgrounds. And I'm happy to say that funding to help build playgrounds will continue to be provided to new school projects with K-6 programming. Moving forward, new schools will have playground funding included in their project budgets. No longer will parents have to fundraise hundreds of thousands of dollars for playgrounds.
A young Calgary man charged with stabbing a caseworker to death last week will remain in custody until he sees a psychiatrist today. Brandon Newman is charged with second-degree murder in the death of Deborah Onwu, who was stabbed at an assisted living residence in Calgary. The suspect's lawyer, Alan Fay, told the court that he's doubtful that Newman will be capable of instructing a lawyer for his defense.
I'm concerned about his ability to properly instruct counsel in this matter. He strikes me as an extremely childlike individual. So we have put his matter over to Monday morning. At that time, he'll see a psychiatrist from the Southern Alberta Forensic Psychiatric Centre. We'll get an initial opinion as to whether or not he should be sent to that centre for a full-blown assessment, and we'll proceed from there.
We met at the church, and that's where our friendship began. And she more or less became like a sister to me. And we did have a lot of good times together. And it's unfortunate that we stand here today with T-shirt on that has her photo on it. And it's not because we are celebrating a wedding anniversary or a baby shower for her. This is her death. And this is something that has cut across very deeply to friends and family. So justice for Debbie will mean that measures will be put in place, that we're calling on the government bodies responsible for overseeing this sector to understand that caregivers have lost our voice for a very long time. We have, and it's unfortunate that we stand on this platform today, which is an incident of a life that has been taken from us, to gain our voice again. We have been calling for help from the very basic, and obviously help has not come. So we are calling on the Minister for Community and Services to step up. So justice for Debbie will mean that he gets the right help that he deserves. He gets the right support that he deserves. He is put in a place of safety for himself and anybody who is supporting him, that he will not have access to taking another life.
An investigation by a group of journalists, including the Toronto Star, has uncovered high levels of lead in Canadian drinking water. In several cities, the contamination was consistently higher than they ever were in Flint, Michigan, where there has been a long-time water crisis. The investigation found some schools and daycares in cities including Montreal, Regina, and Oakville, Ontario, had levels so high, researchers noted it could impact children's health. About 56,000 Hydro-Quebec customers are still without power days after a powerful windstorm swept through the province on Friday, downing hydro poles and power lines. At the peak of the outage, nearly 1 million customers were in the dark. The utility says it expects everyone to have their electricity restored by sometime Tuesday. Starting today, there are new restrictions on cell phone use in Ontario classrooms. Students can only use personal mobile devices during instructional time if it's for educational or medical purposes or for special needs. Educational consultations were conducted last year by the Progressive Conservative government found respondents overwhelmingly favored some sort of restriction on phones in class. The Canadian Fallen Heroes Foundation has a mission. to have a picture and a biography of every Canadian soldier who has sacrificed their lives for freedom. The project perpetuates the memory of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. But according to Royal Canadian Legion spokesperson Glenn Miller, the foundation needs the community's help.
The Canadian Fallen Hero Foundation needs the viewers' help. For every one of those casualties, there is a story. Sometimes that story is well known, other it's very simple, and the families can help contribute and round out that whole biography, and more importantly, put a face to that casualty. All too often, especially in World War I, we don't have those faces. We certainly have the names, but for helping students in genealogy and passing that act of remembrance on to future generations, having that face makes a connection. And especially to those students who go overseas and see Canadian headstones and Canadian graves, having a face prior to going to approach that piece of granite as a headstone makes that connection for the student to really appreciate the sacrifice.
Miller says Veterans Affairs also provides a Canadian virtual war memorial where casualties' names and photos will be placed. 600 pounds of leftover Halloween candy was collected by Crossings Dental on Friday and Saturday through their Halloween candy buyback program. The clinic paid out $1 for every pound of candy collected, and the leftover candy will be given to a good cause.
The kids bring their candy and we buy back $1 per pound. From there, they're able to put their name into a draw for their school, for their class to win a movie meal party. So then we send their whole class there if they win and their name's drawn next week. From there, we have them draw a card because all the candy we buy back goes to our Canadian troops overseas. So we send that away for Christmas and it's just well received and loved. So we love doing it.
Crossings Dental says they will continue to buy back candy over the next few days before delivering it to the troops. With winter quickly approaching, it's a reminder to be aware of those around us who may not be prepared for the cold weather. Lethbridge Park Meadows Baptist Church held their annual fall clothing drive over the weekend, offering free clothing and bedding to anyone in need.
We have a benevolent cupboard and we have people come in all the time. In fact, we've had people come in with literally very little on and it's cold. And so we've had people say, you know, they need clothing, they need shoes. And so for me, we couldn't just sit back and not do anything. And also, you know, for people wanting to help, it was to be able to put in costs. They might not have money to give, but they could give clothing. And so that was something, a chance to be able to share.
Over 200 people turned out to make use of the free clothing and bedding. The 14th annual Lethbridge Fall into Christmas Handmade Market was underway this weekend at Exhibition Park, with over 100 artisans and vendors displaying their wares for those wanting to get an early start on Christmas shopping.
So I believe we have 6 provinces represented this year. We have vendors that come from as far as Ontario and Quebec, mostly Alberta-based. Southern Alberta is sort of our hotbed. We know a lot of artisans from that sort of community. It's the Canadian handmade community in Southern Alberta is rock solid. It's very strong. The coolest part about this market is that you get to meet the vendors. They're very passionate people and this is their livelihood. So you get to hear the stories behind their works. And I think that's what sets us apart from big box retailers and online shopping.
Well, there's talk from the federal Green Party leader, Elizabeth May, that she might want to step down as leader of her own party. Our parliamentary reporter, Ray Fillion, has the details.
Elizabeth May just elected 3 MPs to the House of Commons, including herself, and she's already talking about maybe ditching her role as a Green Party leader. She says the time has come for her to pass the torch on to someone else. She hasn't said exactly when she intends to do that, but she thinks that if the government stays in power for a couple of years or more, she might have time before the next election to resign as Green Party leader and perhaps, she says, become the next Speaker of the House of Commons.
Catch the full interview with Fillion talking politics and why an independent senator recently quit the Senate. That's coming up in the second half of our show. A pile of stuffed animals, flowers, and other offerings continue to grow around the trunk of a large tree outside a Winnipeg home where a 3-year-old boy was stabbed in his sleep last week. Hunter Hayes Straight-Smith suffered severe brain damage during Wednesday's attack and died shortly after he was taken off of life support on Saturday afternoon. Daniel Jensen, who was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Hunter's mother, but who was not the boy's father, has been charged with attempted murder, but that charge is expected to be upgraded.
The mother that was her only child, and she went through a hard time. She's been through hell and back.
I was the one who put the post on Facebook yesterday asking for prayers for little Hunter. We need guidance to curb us from all our anger when we just want to lash out. The Creator is the only one who can carry us through all this.
8 suspects have been arrested in Vietnam in connection with the deaths of 39 people whose bodies were discovered last month in a refrigerated truck container in southeastern England. The suspects are charged with organizing people smuggling overseas. British police said Friday that all the victims were Vietnamese nationals. The driver of the truck, 25-year-old Maurice Robinson of Northern Ireland, has been charged with 9 counts of manslaughter and conspiracy to traffic people. Looking ahead to our local weather, we have got a 60% chance of flurries today with wind gusting to 40 kilometers per hour. A complete look at the weather is coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at our weather highlights for today in Lethbridge. We have a 60% chance of showers, or chance of flurries rather, and wind gusts up to 40 kilometers per hour by this afternoon. A high of 2 degrees, high of 1 degree for tomorrow, and also a chance of flurries as well. So snow in the forecast. Looking ahead to the 5-day forecast there, mostly cloudy with a chance of, mostly sunny with the cloudy periods there for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But the temperature is going to dip down on Wednesday to -9 and then rise back up to the plus temperatures for +6 Thursday, +8 Friday. And then for the weekend, we got 0 degrees and -1 with a mix of sun and cloud there for the weekend. The almanac says that the average high this time of year should be around 8 degrees, the average low -5. The high temperature on this day was in 1949. It was 22 degrees, and the low was a chilly -24 in 2003. The sun rose this morning at 7:25 a.m. will be setting this evening at 5:05 p.m. So you'll probably notice a big difference in those times there because of our time change that we had on a Sunday morning. Looking to the national forecast here on the west coast, Victoria, rainy today with a high of 10 degrees, high of 10 in Vancouver as well, mainly clouds. Chance of flurries up in Edmonton with a high of 0 degrees. Same thing for Calgary, high of 0 and flurries. Looking to the prairies there, we've got lots of flurry action going on in Saskatchewan. Flurries with a mix of sun and cloud in Saskatoon, high of -4, high of -5 in Regina with flurries, and a high of -4 over in Winnipeg. Also lots of flurries there. Looking to Toronto, we have showers today with a high of 11 degrees. A mix of snow and rain in Ottawa with a high of 7 degrees, high of 6 degrees in Montreal with a mix of sun and cloud. Looking to Atlantic Canada, lots of sunshine though. In Fredericton, a high of 8 degrees. Sunny skies in Charlottetown, a high of 8 degrees, and lots of sunshine also in St. John's with a high of 9 degrees, but a mix of sun and cloud with a chance of rain in Halifax with a high of 10 degrees today. That's your forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Martha Retreat Center is holding an open house on Sunday, November 3rd from 2 to 4 p.m. Come and learn about their various programs. Take a tour of the center and its grounds and find out how the center can help advance your well-being and spiritual health. For more information, visit marthacenter.themarthas.com. The City of Lethbridge's residential fall leaf collection program is underway from now to November 15th. Residents can call 311 Monday to Friday between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. to arrange for pickup. Leaves must be put in paper yard waste bags and placed in the area where garbage is normally collected. Paper yard waste bags are available for purchase at retail stores throughout Lethbridge. For more information about the residential fall leaf collection program, visit lethbridge.ca or call 311. Do you enjoy helping others in our community? Volunteers are needed in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat to support adults participating in local AHS, recreation, and leisure programs. AHS is looking for those who will provide guidance and encouragement to people taking part in aquatics, walking to wellness, and expressive arts. To learn more about this opportunity, call 403-388-6311 or apply online at albertahealthservices.ca. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
Those chilly mornings, and when your car windows are fogged up, defogging them is just one more thing you gotta do before you drive to work. Today's daily life hack will get you on the road a little bit quicker. Buy a chalkboard eraser and keep it in your glove box. When the windows fog, run them with the eraser. It works like a charm. And that's been your daily life hack. Well, here is something interesting. A video that is circulating around the internet might change the way you sing your ABCs. And many people are not happy about it. The new version breaks up the LMNOP, which is normally sung in rapid succession. Take a listen. So what do you think? The remix was created by Dream English, who says it will be easier for children to understand the 5 separate letters, especially for those learning English as a second language. Interesting. And now here's another quick update from the Samaritans Purse Disaster Assistance Response Team on the ground in northern Iraq. The teams there have been helping the 12,000 Syrian refugees fleeing into Iraq from the conflict between Turkey and Syria.
Samaritans Purse is here in northern Iraq, responding to the growing refugee crisis from the recent fighting that's developed in Syria. A lot of these families were displaced in a split moment. They had to leave their homes and leave everything behind, so they don't have basic items. Behind me right now, they're loading up the critical hygiene kits for women and children. It's got diapers, wipes, toothbrushes, soap. They've been loading water, so we loaded 4,600 cases of large bottles of water, and we've been loading blankets as it gets cooler and cooler for these families. I don't think the story of the Good Samaritan tells us to just care about the neighbor that lives next door. So as we respond as Samaritan's Purse, we want to be the Good Samaritan to people that are from a land different from our own. Keep them in your hearts and your prayers over the next few weeks. Pray for peace in the region, and that they can hopefully return to their homes.
Federal Green Party leader Elizabeth May says it might be time for her to move on. She has her sights set on a new job in Ottawa. Our parliamentary reporter, Ray Filion, has details coming up after the break. Stick around.